So high I'm hypnotized. What's up is down, what's left is right. Chasing stars and holding you. I can't see the end, but we'll see it through.
Right, hello. Apologies for my late arrival tonight. I think Whitney's been here patiently waiting for ages. But on top of what I went through yesterday, I've then got a bit of a cold today, and my eye seems to be really irritating me. So I apologise if it's looking really red on that side. Hello, Brad, Jennifer, and Maya, all in the chat. Welcome. Looking bright and sunny. Yeah, I washed my hair today, so bit of a change for once. So welcome. Please like the stream as you come in. That really would help. And obviously subscribe if you're not. That would be lovely. Hello Lucy, welcome. So tonight we are going to be talking about textile recycling, and the rather dark side of it, because there's been some interesting things happening over the past few weeks to do with it. So we're going to sort of dive into it all. I'm going to bring Whitney onto the stage with me. Hey Whitney, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm good. Like I say,
Good.
just apart from this eye that's like, really irritating me, and I feel like I can't see much, but we will get through.
Okay, sounds good.
I've got lots of tabs on my computer, so I will be bringing them up because I got sort of halfway through rewriting notes, and it's just sort of there's a lot to it, so I haven't quite finished writing them up, so I will go through the tabs that I've got open and be reading off of them as well. Just realised that my phone has not charged as fully as I would like, so let me just plug that in so we don't lose everything halfway through. Right, wonderful. So let me just bring up, for anyone who is new to this stream, please go and check out Whitney's channel for all the sort of legal side of things.
Yep. All the Scientology legal cases that are active right now. Yeah. And going through litigation in civil court. Very interesting.
All very exciting. There's a lot of movement happening within all that sort of world. So yeah. Look forward to what's to come, really.
Yeah, the tactic for Scientology is to paper the courts. So they just submit motion after motion after motion complaining about every little thing under the sun. A lot of it doesn't have substance or isn't important, but some of it is. So it's really hard to kind of dig through all of that. On my channel, I have just the basic kind of complaints, the legal complaints that Leah Remini has brought forward, the complaint against Gavin Potter and David Miscavige from Jane Doe, And then also the important case that's going through the appeals court right now in the United States. And there's a decision on the arbitration agreement, I believe, that's going to be seen by the 11th Circuit of Appeals Court there. So many interesting things. I'm doing much better recently, so I'm going to start reading more stuff. Yay! And feeling really, really good. Very
fabulous.
Yeah. So
thank you.
Thanks.
Hello, Brad, by the way, you're not late. And also I just want to acknowledge, other side, that I have my little logo up in the corner. So I've said goodbye to the duck for now. But yeah, I've only been able to do that because I have had some nice people putting some money towards my buy me a coffee, which I realized that I didn't actually get around to doing the description for tonight's stream, but you can find it on my main page on my bio. So yeah, if you would like to help sort of contribute to other months, then please do.
Every piece of help is appreciated. The like, the subscribe, the share,
honestly,
everything.
Why are you not? Sorry, I've just realized that my phone isn't actually charging for some reason. I don't understand. Oh, there we go. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, every bit of help is really appreciated. And yeah, and it's sort of part of kind of putting this content out there. It's really nice when people appreciate it in that way. Yes, Brad, I really like the duck as well, but doing this, it sort of allows me to do a few more things as well, which is really nice.
I like your logo. Right. It's really pretty.
Thank you. Yeah,
it's very nice.
Yeah, it's sort of different to my business one, but yeah, I thought it was quite a nice one for having on here. Right, wonderful. So without further ado, we will jump into the dark side of textile recycling. So like I've got a few slides and things that I'll kind of show along the way, and obviously Whitney, if you want to jump in, just do. But first of all, I will start with what is textile recycling? Because like a lot of people kind of at the end of their clothing life might put it into a clothing bank, give it to a charity shop. Some people even put it in the bin. But there's kind of other processes that can happen to textile waste, your old clothes, whatever it might be, that can sort of prolong its life into something new. So in textile recycling, you get sort of two different types. There's fibre to fibre, which is either done mechanically or chemically. So fibre to fibre recycling is the process of breaking down a clothing material or fabrics so that it returns to its original state of a fibre, resembling some fluff. So if you think of when we did the cotton episode and we showed you those little cotton balls that was on the plants, it will go back to resembling something like that. So this process is either done mechanically or chemically, as I said. Mechanical recycling involves chopping up the old clothes into tiny pieces like shredded paper. So if you think of if at school you ever did like the paper mache, that's kind of what happens to the cloth.
Oh, yeah.
Of which that one, but sort of this one with the sort of what looks like denim on the left-hand side as you're looking at it. That's kind of how small the pieces go down to. Water is sometimes used to soften the materials, and help in the tearing process. The fibers are then separated using a process called cording to comb out and straighten the fibers. So then
Wow.
that's then how you get it to that then sort of fluffy stage, before then it gets turned into what's on the right. And then this first image is just a way of sort of showing, obviously, when the clothing comes in to the factory from the clothing bank. It will then go through on these conveyor belts to then get sorted out, often by hand, in terms of what the fiber content is. Because doing any type of recycling, you have to have all the same fiber content, which obviously then gets harder once you get to mixed blends of
The
fibers.
blends. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So that has to
and
be that sorting out by fiber, the clothing pieces by fiber content, right? That has to be done by a human being.
yeah.
Oh, wow. That's laborious, right?
Exactly. Yeah. There's no way of doing it by machine otherwise. I think saying that, I think there is a way that they kind of can weigh it in a way, I think. And there are, when I was working with, oh my God, now the names have totally gone out of my head, now that we don't work with them.
Ghost?
No,
Or
sorry.
I'm
The
sorry.
recycling factory that we were working with. Oh my God, how is their name totally gone out of my head? Oh shoot, I should really know this. Let me let me check my
Don't
socials
worry.
because it will be on there. Oh my God, what an idiot. But yeah,
We'll
so
put it
when
in the comments, right?
yeah, exactly. When we reskinned, there we go, it comes back to me. Yeah, when I worked with Reskinned, they were working with people who were sort of on the science side of kind of textiles, and they had a device which you sort of put a piece of fabric into, and you could it would tell you what the fiber content was, basically.
Oh, wow.
So
That's
that
a
was
cool
like
machine.
really interesting. So they would like they were sort of developing that sort of process more for it to be more like on a larger scale.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
quite early days, but so that was really exciting. So one day we will have that. But and then once it is sorted out, it then sort of goes into these bales. These are also potentially sort of the shredded up fibers as well. So they're sort of in larger chunks here. I can take that down. So that is a mechanical recycling. Then chemical recycling is used when breaking down polymers. So polymers, if we go back to when we did our polyesters, when we've spoken about polyesters, they're fibers made from oil, basically, synthetic, non-natural. Now this is also used when you have like multi sort of blended fibers as well. They will go through chemical in order to sort of make it easier to separate. And because the chemical will then break down sort of the more synthetic fibers more than what it will natural. So you can kind of see a difference at the end. So it breaks down polymers, removes dyes, and dissolves other additives. So as well as like separating up the fibers, it also cleans the fibers so that then they
Oh,
can be used into something else. So like when you go through the mechanical one, whatever color the fiber is, that's basically the color that you'll end up with at the end.
oh,
Um,
okay. So
so
the dye
as with,
stays with the dye
yeah,
stays with the fabric in the mechanical
yeah,
process. Oh,
yeah, which is
oh,
obviously
interesting.
fine when like sort of you don't, maybe, you know, like you've separated all of one color and sort of and put that through a process,
Mhm.
or like
Yeah.
you don't mind it being sort of a mix.
Right.
But yeah, if you want something like as a pure sort of more natural color, like
Mhm.
how you've like a not necessarily sort of bleached, but because then that would be more of a white. But yeah,
But like
that
the
kind of sort
natural
of natural
cotton
color.
look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then as in that sample that I brought up before, then
Right.
you would also it would also go through a chemical process to get rid of that dye.
That's a lot of work
So yeah,
to recycle
exactly.
textiles. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which is, you know, like part of the problem. It's
Yeah.
why it's taken so long to get to this point where sort of things are being done, because it's obviously a
Mhm.
very costly process, as well as being time intensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then within this, you also get biodegradable. So if you ever see anything that says biodegradable,
Mhm.
that will also go through a chemical process. That is not compostable. It has to go through a chemical process to break it down.
Oh.
Um, so yeah, so with that, it will kind of, again, sort of depending on what stage of sort of breaking down you
Yeah.
want it to go to, sort of maybe depends how long you leave it in said chemical for, or maybe what type of chemicals
Okay.
you
So
use.
wait, so something that's labeled biodegradable still requires the chemical process in order for it to be recycled.
Yeah,
Is that,
exactly.
oh, that is interesting. So if it
Yeah,
just degrades on its own over time, it would eventually disappear, right? But in the recycling process, that biodegradable doesn't factor in at all. That's interesting.
no,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, like, and it's sort of
Hmm.
some people have tried to put sort of biodegradable stuff in with sort of like food waste and things to sort of
Yeah.
think it will go through that sort of
Hmm.
composting phase, but it
Yeah.
won't, because it has some sort of, again, sort of polymer in it,
Right.
or yeah, like something sort of synthetic. So like there's a sustainable fabric show that I have been to before, and one year, this was like uh pre-pandemic, that they
Hmm.
were sort of bringing out all the apple levers and things like that,
Hmm.
as kind of this great alternative to animal levers, which
Hmm.
is fine, but they have to be coated in a plastic sort of
Yes.
type of coating,
Yeah.
so that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't like rot, because
Yeah.
obviously it's
It
apple
just kind of,
or
yeah,
orange
it just
or
kind of destroys.
pineapple.
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, even it's like if it's that sort of outside skin, it yeah, still will kind of rot
Hmm.
eventually.
Yeah.
You know, which is fine, because at the time I was really like, oh, you know, that's a real great sort of weighing for like people who go with fast fashion, because then
Hmm.
it allows it to be more throwaway, you know, sort of
Yeah.
it matters less. Um, Now obviously sort of the cost that will come with that, you know, might mean that
Yeah.
people won't want to throw it away so easily, but then, you know, sort of
Right.
then you're already kind of on that role of sort of changing people's mindset.
Right. Yeah.
So
Mm.
yeah, so then with that, so then because of that, then sort of plastic coating, you
Yeah.
have to then, it's then called this biodegradable, and then it has to go through this chemical process. Now, the thing
Wow.
is with it is that a lot of these suppliers, and therefore then brands, are not thinking about how you go about sort of doing that chemical process. Do we
Yeah.
then, like, who do we send it to? Who will do that? They're just
Yeah.
like sort of doing this next step of, like, it's great because it's biodegradable, not explaining biodegradable properly.
Yeah.
So then people are thinking that's a really great solution. But
Exactly.
then,
Yeah.
when there's no sort of end point of what to do with it, kind of, it's a hard sort of step, and it's a shame because I still haven't really seen sort of any thing particularly be said about it.
Yeah.
Apple leather and things seems to have kind of disappeared from people's minds, I think,
Yeah.
because of that sort of hurdle as such.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of see if anything else comes out. I hope to go back to
Yeah.
that textile fair this year, because I haven't been for a few years because they kind of upped their price
No,
for
yeah.
the tickets. But yeah, I would like to go this year to see what sort of changed in that realm.
Yeah.
So then with the chemical recycling, once it's gone through all that process to like clean it and things like that, it's then back to then the mechanical way of sort of carding to
Yeah.
get the fiber,
Yeah.
um
Wow.
and back to that sort of kind of drawn out sort of straight process, so then it
Yeah.
can be spun and made into cloth
Hmm.
again.
Yeah. So
um
if
yeah
you remember from, I'm older, so we had like pioneers. Like I lived in the Midwest when I grew up, and my family were pioneers, and they did the same thing with cotton. They would take it with the two boards with nails sticking out of it,
yeah
right? And then put the cotton in there and then card it like that, right? And it's just to get all of the seeds out or any of the impurities out, and then you can spin it. So that's, I think the carding process can be done in a mechanical way, but it's still a really laborious process to card out all those fibers
yeah
so that they're running a similar way, right?
yeah there are,
Crazy.
I didn't get any images of that, but yeah, there is
Oh,
a,
that's okay.
sort of a mechanical process for that.
Yeah.
um and then sort of kind of, it kind of goes through like several sort of stages of that, and then at the end then you get it where it spins on to then
To make thread and fiber.
become the
Yeah.
thread. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's a long
sorry, I
process
just
for
got a bit distracted
recycling.
by Brad's comment saying that the chat's
Oh, yeah.
really depressing. Sorry, Brad, but it's the truth. So I would rather people know the truth. Um, this is the dark side of fashion.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee any good conversations. It's meant to make you not want to buy anything ever again.
Just maybe think, a little, like,
Yeah, exactly.
we're not telling you what to do. We're just saying,
Yeah,
just think
gather.
about it.
Um, but just be all forever mindful of how and where you're spending your money. Basically, that's
Yeah.
sort of what I always want to put across to people. Um, so then within this, there is a company called Renewcell, who
Oh, wow.
me slides up. Oh, sorry. So then I should show this one again. So then the patch that's on the right hand side, as you can see,
Mm-hmm.
that is then the fabric. Once it's being carded and spun, and then remade into fabric. So this is like more of a felt sort of type of material, as you can see there, but they do sort of have it go into fibers, so then it will be weaved again. So it all sort of depends how long the fibers are from
Right.
the sort of fabric once it's cut up. And I think this is done into more of like a felt type because the pieces are so small. I think when they do larger chunks and kind of use more water, then it can be made into then longer fibers. That's kind of my gathering on it, because I couldn't
Yeah, I
find
think
a
you're
total
probably
process
right.
on it.
Yeah, I think you're
Just
right,
sort of like
because
from what I can see.
those little tiny short fibers would be very, very hard to spin into a single thread, right? And when you shop for, sheets and things like that, everybody talks about the long staple cotton. That's the most, I guess, preferred or luxurious type of cotton is the long staple cotton. So if you can cut down the fabric to a bigger chunk or a smaller chunk, it's really going to impact the amount or what the quality of the thread is that you can spin from that, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's really interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I find it um sorry. Really yeah, sort of interesting to kind of understand what makes up a total sort of piece of fabric.
Right.
And kind of yeah, sort of like what kind of the understanding the process, I suppose, of sort of how it gets to be. And yeah, and that's kind of sort of one of the factors in it is the sort of the length of that fiber that is produced. Right, so Renewcell is a company that started, oh, let me just bring up my actual note on that. I believe it is 2015. No, sorry, 2012. What am I talking about? 2012 is when it was founded by experts, Professor Mikhail Dinstorm and Professor Gunnar Henriksson and Dr. Christopher Lindgren of the Royal Institute of Technology, Stockholm, Sweden. I do apologise because I've probably mashed up those names.
Nice.
But basically, they were sort of going through many years of trials and sort of patentings and things like that until then 2017 they demonstrated their process to the H&M group, and they became a shareholder within Renewcell. This allowed them to get a round of investment, and then from there sort of build up a bigger factory and things like that. So that was in 2000 to 2001 that then they sort of were able to get enough financing for a 60,000 ton recycling plant in Sweden. And I don't actually have an image of that, but I do have this. So you can see this image of a factory in the middle is the actual factory that they have. So it's just a little like promo for them.
Wow, so this factory has been doing this recycling for the H&M group only, or is it for...
So it started out just being them. Then in oh, it doesn't actually have it. I think it has it on this one. No, where did I see it? One of them has like an actual breakdown of all the other ones that they use, who use them. Right, here we go. So oh, I thought I had one that had a list of like the years that they joined, but so yeah, so H&M were like the first ones, and they sort of invested a load of money, but then since then Levi, Tommy Hilfiger, Zara, Calvin Klein have all kind of used the materials from it. And yeah, so that's like really great. So that's kind of up until like sort of last year, all those brands were sort of in with it. Then in December of 2023, so just past December, Renewcell actually filed for bankruptcy. So yeah, so then there's kind of a whole thing on that, which I will get into, but let me take that down. So yeah, so oh, actually I can put this one up. So this is just sort of shows you the process that circular what a circular value chain is. Oh no, sorry, I've just realized that. So that's for the next bit. Yeah, we'll get to that. But yeah, so Renewcell, what they kind of have on their website is that they break down used cotton and other cellulose rich textiles and transforms them into new raw cellulose pulp. And cellulose is copywritten name. Oops. Cellulose makes fashion circular. Fashion has always been more cotton, more chemicals, more pumping of oil. Go over here. More pumping of oil, more selling, the next season's must-haves. Bigger, faster, cheaper, more wasteful, very linear, which is obviously the opposite to what circular is. So kind of what Circulose was, what Renewcell was aiming for with Circulose is to have a next generation material that is made by recovering cellulose from worn out clothes and then being able to produce that into new fibres for new clothes, which obviously goes into that whole kind of circular economy of things. You know, sort of what everyone's kind of aiming for is for everything to be circular. So like, but like for that circularity to go back into that item. So as I've said before about sort of water bottles, you know, sort of plastic water bottles being turned into plastic water bottles, clothing to be turned into more clothing and things like that. You know, it's sort of like for like basically, rather than being like, oh, we've got all these water bottles, let's make that into cloth.
Right.
Because, you know, sort of we've got so many clothes in the world.
Right.
So yeah, so that's kind of the aim with Circulose. Now, so within that, like I say, sort of they in 2023 December, they filed for bankruptcy, which is really sort of sad for the ethical and sustainable circular industries, because
Mm-hmm.
you know, here's a company that you know, backed by all these big brands,
Right.
who is doing such good within such a polluting and
Yeah.
destructive industry,
Yeah.
yet then even they can't get through it.
Yeah.
So I've found an article in greenbiz.com. So they say that after nearly 12 years, 10.6 million in revenue funding, and a failure to secure long-term financing in December just gone, Swedish circular fashion company Renewcell filed for bankruptcy in Stockholm court last week. And this was written in March of this year, the 5th of
Oh,
March.
wow. Yeah.
So it's all very, very new.
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, so they still
That's too
have
bad.
yeah, so they still have
Mhm.
18,000 tons of fabric that H&M, Levi, Tommy Hilfiger,
Mhm.
Calvin Klein, and Zara have all oh no, sorry, just H&M, sorry, have agreed to
Mhm.
buy
Oh.
18,000 tons of the fabric between this year and next year, so 2024, 2025.
Mhm.
Um, so you know, so that's kind of one kind of good thing, that they still have enough fabric or enough fiber to make fabric for at least 2 years,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
great. But obviously, without people buying it, or without companies
Yeah.
buying it, you know, sort of, they don't necessarily have the funding to process it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Now, they didn't go straight into bankruptcy. They actually laid off 25% of their workforce at the end of
Wow.
last year. So it was just that the sort of final push was, like I say, sort of not enough funding to be able to help them go through.
That's too
Um,
bad. Yeah.
it's really, really bad, yeah. So what the Green Biz say, because this article is on 3 lessons that we can learn from the bankruptcy,
Mhm.
that there is an obvious demand for circular fashion,
Yeah.
because these fast fashion brands are wanting to use it so much.
Yeah.
And obviously, you know, there is a push within the sort of greater consumer, uh, what's the word? Sort of population,
Mhm.
for sort of like kind of less production and things like that. So
Yeah.
therefore,
Yes.
recycling of clothes would go into helping with that. Um, and right, sorry, I'm losing where I am. Yeah, so then it just says that each year 150 million trees wind up in being used in fabric, such as viscose, lyocell, and acetate.
Yeah.
And whereas like cellulose, by contrast, contains no virgin material, so it really cuts down on that.
Yeah.
which is amazing.
That is
And
huge. Yeah.
yeah,
It's like nothing net new needs to come in to make that fabric. It can
exactly.
be all 100% recycled. And that's huge because we're trying to cut down on like the earth's resource consumption, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really too bad that that Swedish company could not stay in business. I just wish things were different with the way fashion looks at sustainability of everything, basically.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. And Renewcell's plan was to keep cotton out of landfills and had planned to recycle 1.4 billion t-shirts each year by 2030. You know,
yeah,
so you just think sort of with a company with such kind
yeah.
of strong values and kind of big goals, for them
Hmm.
to go down like that is yeah, really, really sad for the future. Um,
Well,
so a future for the factory. Renewcell wants to sell its factory, but is optimistic about its continued operation. Um, there was a post on LinkedIn, which actually I didn't even go and check on. Let me have a check on that. That
mm-hmm.
it has enough fiber and pulp for consumers for up to 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so like I say, so that's this year and next year,
And
so up
next,
until 2026 at
yeah.
least. Um, None of the more than 15 brands involved have declined to use cellulose.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, so that's really good.
Well, and
But
that kind of means that the factory did not go under because they didn't have customers, right? It sounds like maybe the factory wasn't able to perform what it needed to do in the recycling with they went over budget maybe or something because they're not losing customers, right?
no, so that is my biggest thing. I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
find like a definitive thing to say why they've
Yes.
gone under, but I can very much guess because of
Yeah.
the type of brands that they're working with,
Yes.
and because of something else that we will flip around to in a sec. That it's down to cost, and once again, the true cost of a garment is not being paid for
Right.
um,
Yeah.
in the time of sort of production. So
Mhm.
it is well noted that recycling a cloth is actually more expensive than virgin fabric um, because of the sort of chemical mechanical processes within that. Um, there is, sort of you can downplay the cost of a human. They are
Right.
more easily sort of bent round in a way, or you can go without paying for them for so long.
Yeah.
Whereas, in a factory, with sort of having to pay for electricity and water and such things like that, resources that are um, unless like sort of they've got solar panels, which you would think
Right.
in a factory that is producing renewables should maybe
Yeah.
use renewables, but I can imagine that maybe they're not,
Yeah.
um, because the factory's so big.
Yeah.
Um,
They'd need
yeah,
like a
like
wind
that.
farm or something. Yeah. Like
Yeah,
a,
exactly.
yeah.
So yeah, so then within that they there's obviously like costs that they can't forgo paying themselves, but once again the brands will try not to sort of pay them what they're meant to be, what they would
Yeah.
need to survive, basically.
Yeah.
I get that plenty of times when people ask me to make stuff, and yeah, and then I tell them my price for making it, and and it's fine, like they tell me that it's too expensive, but at the end of the day, when it's
Yeah.
my time and energy plus kind
Yes.
of my own overheads, you know, I've got to kind of think about that when I cost things.
Yes.
And I would rather cost so that I can survive rather than being able, like, rather than for the reasoning of taking on work, you know, sort of, I don't want to do
Yes.
myself out of pocket. Right, so I'm just trying to see this post. Yes, so so this was posted 4 days ago. An update: Stockholm, the trustee appointed to oversee Renewcell's bankruptcy proceedings, has extended the deadline for the receipt of the offers for the textile recycling firm. The deadline has been extended to the 28th of March, so you've got 8 days to get your bids in, 2024, in order to accommodate expected bids from several interested parties, with a new owner expected to be announced in April. So let's see what happens with that.
Yeah. It's good to hear that they have numerous interested bidders.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, and I forgot to say, Gangi is one of the brands as well that use their fabrics.
oh,
Yeah, so then it just goes on about the inventory levels and pulp to sort of use over the next few years.
yeah.
So yeah, so that's that basically. And
Wow.
yeah, so yeah, there's obviously sort of the overheads cost, which I do believe is one of the main factors here.
Yeah.
Oh, and there's just something that I'll say here. So this is who's saying this? It doesn't tell me. Oh, sorry, my eye is like really running.
No worries. Okay.
I don't know, someone called Rykoff. I can't see who that was now. But it's someone that works at the firm, clearly. Was that one of the names that I said before? No. Oh, right, here we go. Nicole Rykoff. A founder of Canopy, which is a circular where are they? A circular fashion platform. Oh yeah, I can't even see them now as to where did I see that? But yeah, they basically says selling platform that sort of specializes in sort of sustainable products and things like that.
That's interesting.
So
What was the name of that?
Oh, sorry, Canopy.
Oh,
I will put that in the
Yeah.
what's it show notes. So yes, so she where did I just see where
I
that
like
was?
companies
So
like
she
that
said,
that they try to kind of like match two people that have the, I've got this, the fabric that you need, and they kind of try to put two
exactly.
people together. That's really neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it is a shame because there goes through like being like a lot of that sort of stuff happening within the sort of sustainable sector.
Mm-hmm.
But then you just get these like sort of odd ones that kind of people are just in it for themselves still,
Yeah.
which is a
Yeah.
shame, because for me, like, that isn't what the sectors should be about.
Right.
And yeah, but it's sort of, it kind of what creates this sort of thing happening, which is like a real shame, rather than it being very, very community based, as it should be. But yeah, basically she says that there's a recognition on the brand's part that they can't do this alone. No single company can transform this entire supply chain and bring a whole new supply chain to market by themselves. It does require different ways of working and working brand to brand, as we
Right.
were just saying.
Yeah.
You know, which is nice. So, and then the third part to this article says that there's a slew of new regulations, particularly in the European Union, that will soon force apparel companies to follow circular practices. Sorry, I'm going to sneeze.
Hey, chat. Hi, Brian. Hi, Maya. Hi, Ubik. Hi, Lucy. Hi, anybody that I missed. I changed my avatar, guys, so it's still me.
Oh, right. Sorry about that.
I entertained while you.
That's all right. That's cool. Thank you. Right. Wonderful. Yeah. So, yeah, to follow the circular practices. Now, one that I want to do another stream on, which will be around sort of alterations and repairs of garments. Obviously, particularly because that's kind of my background with my business, but
Yeah,
also
you're
there
really
has
good
been
at
a
it.
new. Thank you. There's been a new legislation come into place about repairing clothes in France,
Oh,
where
no kidding.
they don't pay tax on them. So like you like when you go to get a garment repaired, you don't
Yeah.
pay tax on that as a consumer, which
Wow.
obviously is a win-win for everyone. So
Yes.
I really want to look into that, because it's something that I really want to sort of push over here.
Yeah.
But I'm always so like kind of consumed in like my own stuff that I feel like I can't do it. So I want to really sort of push myself to be
Yeah.
putting more of that forward within my own country, and then sort of kind of hopefully helping that be a bigger thing across sort of around the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we'll kind of see what happens with that. So yeah, so Europe has already banned large companies from piling returned clothes into landfills, requiring them to instead repurpose, recycle, or give items away. So that's where the reskinned company that I was working with, that's where they came in that they were taking all this clothing, processing it, and then we were either recycling it. They now have someone in a house that does it. They were just reselling it as is, or then they were recycling it because they had a recycling part of their company.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's kind of why like they were getting bigger, because of this new legislation. So it sort of just goes
Yeah.
to show that legislation does really help in
Yes.
changing the wider sort of use of like how companies go about working, basically,
Yes. Yeah.
because it isn't
This
just
their
about demand.
yeah. Yeah, to kind of change their business practices to be more
That's the word,
sustainable.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's good. That's good.
So yeah, so that um oh, and then just for some US news on it. So it actually says down here in the US, the new federal rules are unlikely. Oh, new federal rules are unlikely anytime soon. However, in
Yeah.
2022, Massachusetts became the first state to ban placing textiles in the trash.
I
Legislation
didn't know
working
that.
its way through the Californian state legislature includes extended producer producer responsibility bill SB 707. So I will we'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
Which would require manufacturers to collect and recycle used garments. So that is amazing. Um,
Wow. That's
and
cool.
yeah, just goes to show. And there's also in America that I would like to look into as well is the textile oh, what's it called? But there is like a textile law that's coming over like the past few years,
Mm,
which could be this one that it's talking about. It's just it's not
yeah.
calling it that. Um, but I, yeah, but I'm not 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there seems to be like a lot of kind of different things like that happening over there,
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll
which is
see
really
something
exciting.
happen with sustainability in the near future. I'm hoping.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm kind of sad that I can't go to this because it's so soon. And to get over to Chicago is quite a lot of money for me. But
Yeah.
for anyone that is over there, you can go and let me know how this goes. But in May, there's a circularity conference on accelerating the circular economy. So again, that's in the Green Biz article.
Interesting. Wow.
So yeah, so that is quite exciting.
Cool.
Right, so now we're gonna turn the corner. Thank you. Thank you, Maya. Feeling bad for my eyes.
I know. Poor
Yeah, I
thing.
hope you're like looking really puffy. It's oh my god, like I've put water in it and everything. I'd made sure that my makeup wasn't around it and it just has
Oh,
not stopped. It's actually gotten worse all day. So I do
I'm
apologize
sorry, Claire.
for no, it's all right, but I apologize that I keep like
Mm,
touching it because I know some people get funny about eyes. Right, let me just
nah.
make sure I've got all them questions down. Right, fabulous. Oh, and Brad, thank you very much for subscribing to
Oh,
Whitney.
thank you, Brad. Thank you.
There we go.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, right, that's fine. So now we're going to go on to handbrake turn into H&M invests $600 million into new textile to textile recycling polyester venture, Syre. So
Wow.
they are all in with Renewcell and their Circulose with textile. Then Renewcell are going under because clearly they're not making the turnover that they need to each year. H&M are working with them, and then they are going under. Then H&M are then funding a new venture.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this is when we get to the dark side of fashion. So
It got dark really fast right there, didn't it?
honestly,
Wow.
like you know, if Brad, if you thought it was depressing before, it's about to get a whole lot more. So
New
I've
low.
just added, I've just added at the top of this image, H&M greenwashing, because this is from their website. Let's close the
Yeah.
loop. The only trends worth following: recycling and repairing. Wow. Well, H&M. Well.
Well, it sounds to me, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, Claire, but
Yeah.
it sounds like they went from natural fiber recycling straight over to synthetic fiber recycling,
Yeah.
and
So
making the bet that possibly the petroleum-based fibers would be the winners in the fashion war or something. I don't know. Doesn't it
exactly.
seem? Okay. Okay.
So there
So that
was
is what's
actually
happening. Yeah.
something. What article was it in? There was actually one that said about that. That where was
That's
it?
amazing. So they're ignoring the bet on the natural stuff, but going with the petroleum stuff. To recycle.
Yeah, yeah. And I think
Mm,
from what I can sort of tell of it, they're basically taking that all what they've learned from like Renewcell
yeah.
and then like putting it into this other thing. Um,
Wow.
oh, where was it? There was one that said about, yeah, literally about that, about how they, no, it wasn't on that. Um,
Just the
oh, maybe it was
flip-flopping
in here.
from the natural to the
Um,
synthetic.
yeah,
Mm.
where did I see it? Um, mm, mm, mm. Right, here we go. Yeah. So this is the Sustainable Fashion Forum, their article on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so polyester currently makes up roughly 20% of H&M's material composition, with viscose making up less than 5%. Aligned with, oh gosh, sorry, I'm gonna sneeze again.
No worries. That's okay.
Oh god. Oh,
Stand by for
and it's hard
sneeze.
to because I always learn this trick that you rub your tongue on the top of your mouth to stop you
Mm.
sneezing, which obviously is hard to do when you're trying to talk at the same time. Oh my god, my eyes. Okay, right. I
Oh
apologize. I'm
no.
a wreck today. I do
No
apologize.
worries.
Oh dear. Right. Um. Oh dear. Yeah. So aligned with H&M's group's overarching material ambition, striving for 100% of materials to be either recycled or sustainably sourced by 2030, including a sub-goal of attaining 30% recycled materials by 2025, the company now targets 50% recycled materials by 2030.
Wow.
So I think they were, sort of with Renewcell being kind of more cottons and things like that.
Yeah.
Although obviously they would do other, they would do like synthetics as well. But I
Yes.
think
Yeah.
maybe they weren't like sort of H&M have thought that by just like concentrating on synthetics that maybe that would be cheaper for them. I
Yes.
don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I get.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so then the article goes on to ensure a consistent supply of recycled polyester. H&M has signed off on a $600 million take or pay agreement with Syre spanning the next 7 years. In this contractual agreement,
Wow.
common and long-term business contracts, the buyer commits to purchasing a minimum quantity of goods or services, ensuring a stable revenue system for the seller, and providing assurance regarding demand. This strategic move echoes the approach adopted by Swedish investor Vargas, which requires upfront commitments from customers and purchase agreements, which is good because that goes against a lot of what the fast fashion industry in particular does.
Exactly.
If and I'll sort of again will this will be another thing that I'd like to sort of hit on in April, because April is Fashion Revolution week, happens within April, but I kind of want to do a whole month around this sort of stuff. That basically in 2020, with the everything shutting down, the factories weren't paid by the brands, because therefore the brands didn't need the products because the stores were closed. Whereas then this process that they're talking about, money being paid up front, is then a new way of doing this sort of process, which is what I also do as a business. Because you shouldn't do the work until you have the money for it, in my eyes. So so it's sort of really good that they are, or really positive that they are doing this.
I agree.
And requires upfront commitments from customers and purchase agreements to support substantial investments in businesses focused on decarbonizing major industry sectors. So I think that's like really really great to
it is great.
sort of like see happening.
I agree. I think it's nice because it also puts companies in the position where they need to be planning, right? And this fast fashion thing, because it is so fast, it runs on such a fast cycle loop, right? I feel like with these new deals, right, it's a little bit more kind of gradual, right? You're getting upfront money for product to deliver, later on, right? It's not so urgent and fast, and with the labor being screwed, or excuse my language, but people being hosed or whatever, right? I'm sorry, my language.
No, I like that you think that you have to what's it, censor that. That's nothing to say. That's absolutely fine. But yeah, that's the thing. It's sort of, kind of, there needs to be a change in the entire system, not just in making things circular, but sort of it's the way that we pay for things, well, the way that the brands pay for things, and kind of money gets distributed, really. So then we're going to go back to this one. So this is what I brought up before. So this is the circular value chain. So you have your consumer. So sorry, your consumer, sort of like when they return stuff. So you have like I don't really know where to start with this, actually. So it's sort of like kind of retail and supplier and consumer, sorry. So like a customer would buy something, and then at the end of that life with that consumer, then they can take it back to that store. It then gets sorted into whether it is can be resold, wants repairing, wants to be recycled. Then it goes to Syre for the stuff that wants to be recycled. And they, I can't actually see what this says on here. Depolymerization. So obviously we're thinking, because this is synthetic material, that's why it's depolymerization, because they are polymers. Then it goes on to polymerization. So once you take it apart, you then need to put it back together again. Then rather than it being a 3D garment, you then want it into a more of a 2D kind of piece of cloth.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's making it into that sort of fluffy kind of material, like we were saying before, and then it gets
that can be
spun.
spun. Yeah.
Yeah. Or to then make it into the fibers, to then go on to make its fabric, and then be sewn up, to make into new garments, back into retail, back into the consumer, back into the process all over again. So that's why it's then circular. There is no break in the chain because the garment is always going through that process. A break in the chain would be if that garment went into landfill for whatever reason.
Right. Yeah.
So that's kind of what Syre are going on. The same would be with Renewcell. It's just instead of the depolymerization, it would be the sort of tearing up, breaking down of the fabric into smaller chunks, and then the carding, so far and so forth. Sorry. Oh yeah, no, all of my images. Fabulous. So that is them. So back to my article from the Sustainable Fashion Forum. Oh my god. Honestly, I think my sneezing is like, when people's internets go down when they are talking about something. I think that's what my sneezing's doing to me. H&M have infiltrated my nasal passage. Oh geez, my eye.
Oh
Right.
no!
We will get
Damn
through
you,
this.
H&M!
Honestly, I'm allergic to them, clearly. Oh right, here we go. So, what Syre planning on with their sort of production plant is to build something in North Carolina, and then expand globally from there, with 12 production plants in operation by 2032, which is crazy. But let's hope they, H&M help them a bit better than what they did with Renewcell. But then equally, I hope that Renewcell get help so that they don't have to go under forever. So again, another company with a lot of sort of ambition, which is really good. I wouldn't put it on Syre for why Renewcell have gone under. I just hope that H&M don't treat them in the same way.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So so that's all that has.
Well, I guess the good news there is that they're able to do the recycling of the materials that are petroleum based, quite frankly, right? Because those are, I believe those petroleum based synthetic fibers are probably the synthetic, those are the fibers that are going to last the longest in landfills and all of those things. So while it's disappointing that they've switched focus from the cellulose to this, I don't know, maybe that'll work out better. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And then it says here as well, by implementing textile to textile recycling and moving away from PET bottle to textile recycling methods, which lacks true circularity, Syre endeavours to lead the transition from a linear to a circular value chain, harnessing textile waste for repeated use while rapidly expanding industrial operations at hyperscale. So it's it's all good, and it says it should reduce CO2 emissions by up to 85%
Oh,
compared
that's
to the
good.
production of oil-based virgin polyester. So,
Yes.
there's obviously
Yes.
sort of really good really good sort of outcomes that will hopefully come from it.
Yeah.
It's just it's just like a shame that sort of these companies that are doing so good are sort of get trampled on
Yes.
by fast fashion, really.
Yeah. Yes. I
So
agree with that.
so it's just sort of I kind of there needs to be a better understanding, which I would like to sort of put out there to people about why these sort of kind of bankruptcies and sort of the overall sort of ins and outs of these sort of business procedures
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Um, so that sort of people don't just fall for the greenwashing that the sort of fast fashion companies put forward, to
Mm.
say that, oh, sort of like they're doing stuff like textile recycling, which is great, but it's sort of what's the truth around their business practices,
Right. Yeah.
and sort of are they paying people properly, basically,
Yeah. Yeah.
is the biggest part. So I hope that was really interesting for people. I was seeing we've got quite a few different questions and things.
I thought it was really
So
good. It's very
oh,
interesting
thank
to
you.
I'm a little surprised that the more progress has not been made in this whole fabric and fiber, recycling area. But
Exactly.
it is a hard problem, right? Because of, especially now that so many pieces of clothing are blends, right? You'll have a cotton polyester blend, or you know. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's difficult.
Yeah, sadly, textiles and sort of like textile recycling is not as um fabulous as a sort of
Yeah.
uh job prospect for people as sort of
Yeah.
being a fashion designer. And
Yes.
I went through many years when I was sort of first starting my business and kind of going to different meetups with people that were into sort of sustainable fashion and things like that.
Yeah.
And I kept having a go at a lot of people that were like, oh, I'm gonna like make my own brand. And I'm like, for what reason? Sort of like we've already
Right.
got enough clothes. Like you
Right.
should be solving that issue. Oh no, because we need to have alternatives for people to buy. And it's like, yeah, that's great. But like, first of all, we need to kind of tackle this thing. And it's sort
Yeah.
of, it's a shame because there'd be like these people that have like money that they can kind of throw at things.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and although I've put money into obviously my business, I never put that much sort of money necessarily.
Right. Yeah.
My biggest investment was my studio, and I thankfully got a grant for that.
Yeah.
Um, so I've always been very sort of careful, if it was costing me like £10,000 a year, then I would need to like think a lot differently about it because I never had that much coming in.
Right.
Whereas,
Yeah.
I hear of these people all the time being like, oh, I'm going to give up my banking job and I'm going to like put, sort of 30 grand into like this clothing brand that I want to like start this year. And I'm like,
Mm.
sort of there's so many sort of better ways for solving the issue,
Hmm.
that sort of kind of with that sort of money, that isn't starting another brand.
I agree
um
with that. Right.
so
Or
yeah,
even
just
the circular um system that you were just showing us, right? That system is also available for like Goodwill, or going in and like taking clothing into
oh no Oh no, Whitney! Mid talking. Where'd she go? Oh, I'm glad I'd finished doing my nose by then. Here we go.
Oh,
Here we
I
go. I was like, oh no, thankfully I'd finished blowing my nose by then.
was like, where did I go? No, the whole process of, like, let's say you have a great leather coat, right? You take it to the thrift store. Somebody else buys that great leather coat and they buy it in retail and it goes on. It has a second life and that sort of thing, right? But this process that you're speaking of is circular, and you don't just use the same piece of clothing. You actually break it down chemically all the way down to almost its finest level of detail, right? In physical
Exactly.
means, right? And that's crazy. It seems like there could be something in the middle, like fashion
Yeah.
designers who create beautiful clothing from secondhand clothing, perhaps, or something like that, right? Where
Yeah.
we don't have to
Exactly.
remake everything. Yeah.
No,
So,
that's the thing, and that's yeah, actually something I didn't even go on to was sort of, yeah, when like you take your clothing to like the charity shops and things like that,
yeah.
sort of there are yeah, sort of people that do kind of make stuff from secondhand clothes,
Yeah.
which is like really great. A lot of
It's
people
not,
sort of
yeah.
can kind of judge them. They then sort of kind of can question themselves as well,
Yeah.
because it's like, oh, like, you're taking something that someone else might want and then sort of altering it. But at the end of the day, if it hasn't been brought,
Right.
like sort of, it's kind of first come first served. Like you could leave it in that store and be like, well, it's like the next size up. I really like it. I could sort of turn it into something that I would wear,
Right. Yeah.
or sort of I could leave it there and maybe the person who it will fit will come
Yeah.
in and want to buy it, but there's
But
no
maybe not.
guarantee.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like, sort of, as long as something gets done with the clothing, then
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's just yeah, like when you kind of get these like sort of textile recycling companies who kind of send the bundles around the world
Yeah.
to sell, and it isn't like oh, well, do you want to buy what I'm offering? A lot of the time it's you have to buy this, like hand over your cash kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
This is yours now type of thing, right? Yeah.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
like really sad.
Yeah.
Oh
Hmm.
god. Right.
Yeah,
So
the dumping of clothing and textiles is horrible. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, so we could like do another stream on that, because I feel
So
like
write it down.
I yeah I did get one article up, but was it that one? No, it wasn't even that one. Yeah, so that's like a whole nother thing to go into, basically. But yeah, because like Reskinned, where I worked before,
Mhm.
they're sort of, when they send stuff to particular countries, they have like, there is a contract there, and it's sort of they make sure that like they only give them sort of what they are asking for, kind of thing.
Mhm.
But there was the one article that I was looking at that was on a textile recycling company up north of England, and in there they sort of again said, oh, we're ethical because we only send it to like places that want it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what I didn't like is what they said about oh, because people in the UK don't buy secondhand so often. They so then they send it to these countries around the world
Yeah.
who do want it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that is not the ethical part. Sort of people in the UK will buy these things,
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when it's such cheap fast fashion, I will say
Yeah.
the word crap, um,
Yeah.
that you know, sort of, how can you blame them that they're not going to take it? You know, it's sort
Right.
of, and you shouldn't be like, oh, so then other countries around the world will take it more. No, 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 because again, they have their own artisans who will make clothes,
Right.
such as in Africa, the artisans there, the homemakers and designers and things like that, actually were out of business for quite a number of years. They've only just started coming back,
Yeah. Yeah.
due to, thankfully, you know, sort of people going in and sort of raising the profile of such designers,
Yeah.
because they had, like, you know, mountains in Ghana in particular. There was mountains of textile waste
Yeah.
that is forced on the country.
Yes.
And yeah, so then with that, sort of their more sort of kind of natural industry as such, you know, their sort of homegrown industry of makers they haven't been doing stuff. So now they're sort of getting stuff, they're getting into like kind of the reworking of garments, but also of making garments from scratch and
Yeah.
using their own fabrics from over there as well, because
Mm-hmm.
also with Africa, which many people don't realize, is that what you know is an African print or an African fabric
Yeah.
actually is made in Denmark and then sold in Africa. So even the people in Africa are not realizing that it's not
Oh.
truly their fabrics,
Yeah.
which obviously is really sad to think
Wow.
about.
Yeah.
One more
No, I
time, I'm
always
going to blow
thought,
my nose.
well, no, no worries. I always thought it was odd, right? I'm an American. To sit in my country and to see like children from another country on TV with like Dr. Pepper t-shirts on, or like 7-Up t-shirts on, or Lakers t-shirts on, it really starts to dawn on you that, you know, it's not that they love the Lakers.
Exactly.
It's that those t-shirts couldn't be, you know, couldn't be sold in the US. They were probably dumped someplace,
Yeah,
right? And
exactly.
that's not good. Like, we can't just be dumping that stuff on other countries. It's not fair.
Exactly, you know. And it's
Yeah.
sort of yeah, you know, like everyone should have the opportunity to buy um sort of like um clean clothes and sort
Yeah.
of
Or local sustainable
yeah,
fabrics,
sort of,
right? But
yeah,
I
rather
get,
than just being
yeah.
forced to wear kind of what washes up sort of thing.
Right.
Um, so yeah, you know, so it's really, really sad to kind of
Yeah.
think that yeah, you know, like sort of the people don't realize that that's kind of what's happening, as you say.
Yeah. Oh.
Fabulous. So shall I go on to some of our comments that we've had, comments and
Sure.
questions that have come through?
Sure. I'm gonna,
So thank
just one
you.
second.
Oh yeah, yeah, no
I,
problem.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you to everyone that's being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you're all finding it really, really informative and interesting. So let's go just from the start of the questions that I've been starring. So Lucy was saying that she's made an impact herself by not buying unnecessary new clothes and fabrics for the rest of my life. Well, I accidentally bought a new fabric product today. Well, that's absolutely fine, Lucy. We will forgive you on that. Um, and I think your next comment tells us what you brought. Um, Well, I felt a bit tricked because the fabric bag came with a pair of earbuds I brought. I had no idea it would come with a tiny little bag. Oh, but
Oh,
that's kind of cute. I hope
yeah.
you can sort of keep your earbuds in there, so it sort of keeps them safe.
Mhm.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like sometimes people can go like overboard with packaging, even within the sort of sustainable
Yes.
realms, or sort of companies will throw in like this sort of cotton bag,
Yeah.
just to be like, oh,
Look, I
we
have
think of the
special.
planet, and it's just like, yeah. And it's sort of, I find it kind of tricky sometimes because I have like clients come, and when they come to collect, they don't always remember to bring a bag, or they don't like give me a bag
Right.
to put stuff in at the end of once I've altered it, and then
Yeah.
they'll sort of wait around. Then I sort of feel like I have to offer them a bag to sort of go away with, and and sort of a lot of like my fabric bags that I have are my personal ones,
Right.
or
Yeah.
sort of my like hanging bags and things like that. I don't have
Yeah.
anything particularly that I'm sort of you know um that sort of willing to just like give away, because also even if I did make them or get them made, it's still then costing me money. So
Yeah.
so I always kind of say to people, oh, like if you don't feel like you're going to use it again, like depending on the bag, right, sometimes I literally am like, I need you to bring this back because it's
Right.
like it's mine. But like,
Yeah.
other times I'm like, oh, if you won't use it again, then sort of bring it back. And and I've had some
Yeah.
people like donate their own stuff to like sort of bags and things to me, which is
Oh,
really
that's good.
lovely.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, it's kind of gets a bit funny sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's one more
Um
of those little things that you have to think about in a business, right? When you're trying to be sustainable and trying to have, a sustainable, something that's not creating more harm to the environment, it's probably not a great idea to go out and buy, big plastic bags that are made out of petroleum, right? Because we were
exactly,
just
that's the
talking about
thing.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Uh,
when I say like the bags are like a mine, they are cloth
the
bags.
fabric. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And you
So,
don't
and
want to
I've got
lose
like some
those.
old t-shirts. Yeah, I've got like
Yeah.
some old t-shirts that I keep meaning to like turn them into bags as well.
Yeah.
But still it's sort of like yeah, I would kind of expect people, and I do get a lot of them come, with bags that like they've already got, be it
Yeah.
paper, plastic, fabric, whatever. But
Right.
it's sort of like we should all be very much in that habit now of kind of taking a bag around with us.
Yeah.
That yeah, it just kind of sort of shocks me sometimes when people like stand there as if like they still want to have a bag.
Yeah.
um
I drive I
oh
when I drive
yeah.
around town, I keep bags in the back of my car,
Oh,
um,
perfect.
just in case, because I
Yeah.
they always ask me if I have a bag, and oh,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Lucy was just saying about those little bags that she wishes that they were made from old fabrics,
nice fabrics.
which is
Yeah.
very true. Yeah. I didn't actually notice what you said that the little bag was made of, but yeah, obviously if it's plastic, like we don't want that.
Yeah.
Fabric is best.
Mhm.
Um, and then Maya was asking, oh right, she was asking Lucy herself, what they do with clothes from the
Oof.
UFF containers here. Yeah, because I think we'd spoken about that before. But yeah, Maya, they are likely to be shipped off around the world, either to somewhere that will recycle them, or to a country that is hopefully sort of in need, asking for clothes. But most often it either goes to there is sort of like Thailand, I think, is one of the countries.
Mm.
Thailand, Ghana, and Chile. Oh, actually, that's what I realised. Didn't actually come up. Did I want to do a slide with that? I did. No, I did get up some images, but I clearly didn't add them to my slides. That was of sort of waste piles of cloth. So yeah, Chile is one of the other countries where the clothes end up. Yeah, so it's really, really sad. And Joe, hello Joe. Have you ever seen a history called History's Worst Jobs with Tony Robinson? Yes, I have. They used to remove the oil from the wool by treading it in a vat of urine. Oh my god, no, I didn't realize that. That's quite gross. But
I believe it. I believe it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it would go with the other smells around at the time from the you know, them go to the toilet on the street basically. So it probably didn't really notice.
How was it that they figured out that oil can be removed from wool by using urine? Don't you wonder
yeah, exactly.
how that
That's,
occurred?
you know, another one of those. Where did it first?
How
Where
did
they
that happen?
first find out about it? Yeah. Yeah, so funny. And Lucy is saying it's good to have the conversation about what we're doing as the rich and privileged part of the world. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed, Lucy. It's yeah, just a shame that you know, that we have to even kind of bring it up as a factor, you know, sort of. I always like to think that everyone is equal within these things, you know, and it's sort of, you know, people are people, but there are obviously very sort of, what's the word, kind of things that sort of point out exactly how different we are, like a sore thumb, yeah, which is like really which is a real shame.
Yeah, I agree.
Joe says, I wonder what they use nowadays to remove the oil from the wool. I bet Claire and Whitney know.
I don't think.
You know what? We haven't even covered wool yet, so we'll need to do that. And yeah,
wool is tricky. Yeah, wool is
yeah,
tricky.
we'll be yeah, finding that out. So I don't know, unfortunately, Joe, but we will find out.
Hopefully they don't use the urine trick anymore. I hope.
Yeah, exactly. There must be like an odorless. They've probably made some sort of chemical compound that's like odorless,
Yeah.
but that hopefully isn't yeah, like a bad chemical.
It seems like it would need to be pretty volatile, right? To remove oil, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
interesting. We will put that
we'll
on
put
the
that
list.
in our wool. That's in our wool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And then May says, sometimes I think about what they did in the old days, burn the stuff that could be burned, and sink the rest to the bottom of the sea. Potentially. You know, it's quite sad that they could end up doing that, but you know, yeah, that is a potential thing that could happen.
And I believe that we are a little bit different nowadays in that our wardrobes are quite large compared to probably what our ancestors' wardrobes were like, right?
Exactly. And obviously, you know, sort of until the invention of like polyesters and things, everything was very natural. So even if it did go to the bottom of the ocean, it would biodegrade
naturally.
In a much sort of better way. Right, question from Maya. Oh shoot, I'm gonna sneeze again. Right, if you wanna
Oh no.
tell you that
Okay.
one, sorry.
Maya's question is that the same cellulose pulp they make some watercolor paper from? It probably is. Cellulose is just a chemical composition, and I think that they can either spin it into a yarn or a thread to be spun into a yarn, or they can probably make it like a paper as well. Silk, if you remember, started out as paper, and then silk then became a fabric. So I don't know, Claire. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so cellulose is basically wood
Yeah.
based. So anything that derives from wood is a cellulose. So like even like a bamboo, a linging is cellulose. So yeah, so that's basically what they make the paper color from. So if you see the where is it, this slide, and how you have the sort of blue fabric that's all chopped into small little chunks, that's what then you do to paper, to then paper mache it sort of into a piece of paper. And obviously the finer you sort of like, the thicker the paper, the more of that pulp you get in your little tray as you sort of I can't even remember what the process is called, but you sort of capture it in this sort of mesh tray thing that then sort of all the water drains out of. So like the more chunks you get in it, then the thicker that piece of paper is. But you basically sort of will shred it down in like a blender or something like that, to get it finer as well.
Yeah.
And then a question from Brad. You mentioned the Earth's resources being used up by humans. There seems to be good evidence extra temporal beings are watching us from the future and will keep us from killing Earth. Are you asking whether we believe that or not?
We can hope.
Exactly. I keep hearing stuff about this, and I don't know. I think if aliens, I believe in other, we're not the only beings within our solar system, let alone the space as a whole.
Galaxy, yeah.
Yeah. But I also believe that if they visited us, they would not just be probing us. I kind of think, like I would hope that there wouldn't be a war, but I kind of have this thing that it would be the Independence Day of all things. They would come down and want to take over, basically. But yes, it is nice to think that there are beings that are trying to help us, but I don't see how that's happening. Like we haven't like magically sort of solved anything from sources that are outside of us.
That's true.
Yes. And I think things are happening at such a slow rate. Like we're already past Earth Day, sort of like we should have by now have like slowed down our production of all fossil fuels, and we haven't. So we're going to be, come 2030, come 2050, sort of the temperature on the Earth is only going to increase. And therefore, storms, etc., are gonna get worse, which is sad to think about, but it is going to be our reality. So
hopefully we can adapt, right?
Exactly.
Hopefully, together, all of us together, not split up.
Adapting. Just you and me. But yeah, so it's sort of, it's one of them things. Like I try not to be sort of too sort of negative about all that kind of thing. I like to think that there is good that can come, but yeah, sort of it's hard to sort of know sort of what the future will bring, really.
Yeah.
And then Maya says, so it's more expensive to get rid of clothes than making them. Yeah, not necessarily getting rid of, but yeah, sort of
To recycle. Yeah.
to recycle them, yeah, sort of,
Yeah.
because you've got to. It's like when sort of people come to me for like alterations, you know, I've got to unpick something to then sew it back up into like the new shape. So you're then doing similar with the textile recycling. You're having to take that garment apart, and in particular, if there's zips and buttons and things like that, they all need to be taken off individually.
Yes. Yeah, all of
And
the adornment type buttons and that would all have to be taken off. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that's all kind of part of that. And then yeah, so then you're taking that all apart, and then you're then sort of making it into the sort of virgin cloth as such.
Yeah.
And then having to then make it again, you know. So it's sort of like there's like a whole extra process
Yeah.
that you're sort of adding into it. So that's then what brings the expense.
Mhm.
Then May says, I think it's so silly that the secondhand shops is pricing the clothes almost the same as they are to buy new now. Yeah,
Yeah.
that to me is ridiculous. But again, that's because it's sort of fast fashion is bringing down the cost of like
Yes.
new clothes. And like I said before, like everyone deserves to have new clothes. But obviously, you know, there should be sort of like a price scaling thing, and new clothes should be, you know, cost what it costs to us to buy, sort of like, you know, what it costs to make.
Yes.
And
I agree
then you
with
would
that.
then have like sort of secondhand clothes that are then kind of the tier down from that.
Yeah.
Where, you know, once the people who have been able to buy it brand new can then sort of take it to the charity shop or whatever secondhand store, and then you sort of buy it at that price.
Yeah.
And then it sort of goes down rather than it being sold at a lower price. And then, you know, sort of like there's not much else that they can go down from that, because of the you know, sort of yeah,
You
you
have
know,
those
like sort of
costs.
charities,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so you
You
know,
have
like
those
sort of like
costs that
everything has a cost to sort of
yeah.
running. So yeah, so it's sort of there's only so low that they can go down, because unfortunately land ownership and things like that has only like raises the cost of shops.
Yes.
So that kind of goes into that um into that sort of bracket, you know. It's sort of because their own costs have gone up, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, they can't bring the clothes down any lower, which is a shame. And then May's last message that I really liked was H&M, is that a thorn in your eye? Yeah, they
Yes.
definitely have
Definitely.
passed it on to me, which is yeah, awkward, but we will get through.
I'm sorry,
Oh
Claire.
dear,
That sucks.
you're right. Yeah, it's
Poor
terrible.
thing.
And you know what? It's so funny because earlier I got up and I took some medicine, not realizing that I'd actually popped the pill and already put it, like, swallowed it in my mouth. That was the night version of these tablets. So I had
Oh.
a nice sort of nap halfway through the day,
Oh no.
which was a fine, but then it sort of interfered with my research time.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's yeah, kind of,
That's
it's
okay.
all then happening, and the evening is always when I get worse with a cold. So
Oh.
yeah, I'm just need to be better by Friday because that's when I'm teaching again. So we will see. Oh, and I'm going to put this one up for Miss Tara Green, who says that they are an extra temporal being watching over humanity with compassion. So that's really lovely to
Thank you, Ms.
think of.
Green. Thank you.
But yeah, so that's the end of our questions. But yeah, I don't know if you've got anything to add with all that, but that kind of, I think, sort of rounds off our discussion today quite well.
That was really interesting to hear about.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I like that. I hope we can do more stuff like that, right? Kind of like look at the legal, kind of what's going on behind the scenes with some of these companies and stuff. That would be awesome.
Yeah. And I thought, that it's quite a timely one because like 2 days ago it was International Recycle Day. So just sort of I missed it with things that I've been going through personal. I sort of didn't realize it was that day. But yeah, so I thought when I did see, I thought I was quite well timed with sort of doing this stream tonight. So just kind of I will leave everyone on the note of please think about what you are spending your money on. Is it something that you need, want, and kind of differentiate out of that? It's something that you want. Do you actually need it? Or are you just wanting to, sort of get your endorphins through spending some money? Can you get those endorphins by maybe sort of giving to charity? Can you volunteer somewhere? Can you spend time with some friends or family? Doing an activity is often something that will help with that. Kind of endorphin rush. So kind of think about that. And then at the end of your clothing's life, sort of have a think about where you might be given that. When you go to your recycling bin, like clothing and textile recycling bin, have a little sort of Google search of what that company, because it will have on the bin what company it's will go back to. So you can do a quick little Google search as to what they might do with that recycled those sort of clothes and kind of where it might go, so that then you are aware of kind of if you want to put your clothing in that bin or not. And then so your kind of sort of process goes round. And also within that, if you have something that maybe is kind of really at the end of its life, like it's got a stain on that you can't just cover with some embellishment, or it's shrunk or something like that, can you cut it up and use it as like a dishcloth or sort of some sort of cleaning cloth,
dust rag,
makeup removal pad. Exactly. Because you can recycle textiles as well. You don't have to send them somewhere else for them to be recycled. There is, everything can have a second life, basically. If you can't wear something, can your child wear it? Sort of so on and so forth. And I'm just going to put my banner up again. So you can please like the stream, subscribe to both of us if you so wish, and you can check out my buy me a coffee for ways to donate to help us continue to do these streams, to pay a sewing lesson forward, and just be sort of generous. I've set up some memberships today, just
Oh,
as like
did you?
a little thing. So, you know,
Yeah.
if people are interested in that,
Oh, that's
actually,
neat.
I should bring up my page so that everyone can see. If you
Mm.
haven't been there to see, let me, where do we present page, share screen. Oh, right. Making sure that I'm going to share the right one. Oh, right, there we go. I don't want to show the page that people don't want me to show. So this is my, oh, wait, it comes on there. Right, there we go. Yeah, so this is my buy me a coffee.
Oh,
so you can
nice.
see there, so you've got the, oh gosh, sorry for the flickering. Let's do that. Oh, it doesn't seem to do it. I think it's just showing it on my end. Right, so then yeah, so you can just sort of buy me a tea, because I don't drink coffee. But then you can go into the membership, so you can become a, get rid of that.
Oh,
You can
neat.
become a sewing enthusiast, you can become a fashion intern or a garment maker.
Nice.
Yeah, I just thought they were quite fun. And then
That's awesome.
and then in my wish list, you can help me to fund my StreamYard, to help me get a new camera.
Nice.
And then I have my pay it forward, that you can pay into as well if you wish to help with that. But they are all, apart from the membership, the other ones you just sort of paying what you can afford, kind of thing. So even for this one, if you can't do the £15, oh no, that just wants me to edit it my way. But anyway, you can go into that,
Yeah.
and you can put in like just £1 if that's all you can pay, basically.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so you don't
cool.
have to pay in the full amount. But
Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome.
I just realized I've never actually shown people that before, so people might not know sort of how to navigate it. But yeah, so any help is always appreciated. And yeah, like I say, sort of in April I want to do maybe sort of even more than just the Wednesday night, not necessarily me and Whitney, but at least there'll be an extra one with me, talking about something to do with Fashion Revolution Week. And I will put together a community page so people sort of can have a read and sort of find out more about that, because it's a cause that's really sort of close to my heart, being that it's about the Rana Plaza collapse.
Yes.
And yeah, and sort of bringing awareness to factory workers and things like that.
Yes.
So that was
Yes.
really lovely.
Thank
Cool.
you,
Well,
Claire.
thank you all for being here. Thank you very much, Whitney. It's all right.
Thanks for having
Always
me.
wonderful to do these. No problem. And Maya, yes, thank you very much. I will hopefully get better soon. Yeah, I'm gonna have a good night's sleep, and
Good.
yeah, I might have to still take tomorrow off, but we'll see. I hope to be able to go into my studio for a little bit to get some work done, but yeah, health must come first.
Yes, get lots of rest. Hopefully
Yeah.
you'll get better soon.
Yeah, definitely. Especially before my stream on Saturday. So if anyone hasn't seen, do go and check out my next stream that is up, and put your little notifications on. And that's going to be with the SP chef around his art adventures. So that's really exciting.
That is exciting.
So I will see you all then. Wonderful. Right. Have a good day, Whitney, and
Thank
to anyone
you.
else, a good evening. I know there's a bunch
Take
of
care.
UK European people in, and I will Speak to you all soon. Bye.